So it's December again, and every December we do a roundup of the best vehicles per segment. We do budget crossovers, we do pickups. Today we'll do PPVs. PPV stands for pickup platform vehicles, and that includes SUVs like the Fortuner, the Montero, the Terra, the Mu-X, and the Everest. In this video, we'll rank them in different categories, and in the end, we'll select the one that stood out the most this year. So which one or which ones are worth your money? Let's find out. What makes a good PPV? It's easy to compare spec sheets, but we'll try to do more than that in this video. We'll also compare the driving experience, NVH levels, and things that you don't necessarily see on the spec sheet. But of course, specs matter, and the spec sheets will matter in this comparison. Like before, we'll have different categories. We'll sort them according to price. We'll select the best interior, the best NVH levels, the best value for money, etc. And then we'll select our overall pick. Let's start with our first category. The best low end. So in this category, we'll compare the variants that are priced under 1.8 million pesos. At third place would be the Montero GLS. I think Mitsubishi needs to up their marketing game. If you do a search on the Montero GLS, most of the hits are over 2 years old. And look, my 2-year-old video is still ranking pretty high. Apparently, they quietly updated the Montero GLS, and I didn't even know about it until recently. It now comes with a 360 camera. And that, coupled to its price of 1.72 million pesos, is enough to get it in third place. At second place would be the Ford Everest Trend. It sells for 1.738 million pesos, almost the same as the Mitsubishi Montero. But this is the only variant here that comes with leather seats, a leather-wrapped dashboard, and a leather-wrapped steering wheel. It doesn't look like a base model on the outside, as well as the inside. This is also the only one on this list that comes with an electric power steering system, so the steering is very light. And at first place, we have the Isuzu LS80. At 1.59 million pesos, it is the most affordable PPV that you can buy by far. And it's not even a manual, it has an automatic transmission. From the outside, it almost looks like the higher end models. Like the higher end models, it gets LED DRLs and a 10-inch screen. The only thing that gives away the fact that this is a base model are the unpainted door handles. But at 1.59 million pesos, I think this definitely deserves number one. Next category is best mid-range. So this covers variants between 1.8 million pesos and 2.1 million pesos. At third place should be the Nissan Terra. I think the Terra is the most comfortable PPV. It has the nicest interior. It may not have the most features, but the features that it has are usually better than the competition. Like, it may not have the biggest screen, but its screen is the nicest in the segment. It's not the only one with a 360 cam, but it has the nicest 360 cam. It lacks adaptive cruise control though, and a power tailgate, so it's at the third spot. At second place would be the Toyota Fortuner Q. Based on the spec sheet alone, the Fortuner Q is the most well-equipped mid-range model. It has almost all of the features of the top-of-the-line LTD, but it sells for almost 500,000 pesos less. It is at second place though because I don't like the third row seats.
So, as you can see, my head is brushing against the roof.
I don't fit in them very well, and they fold in an awkward way that takes up a lot of space. Also, Toyota didn't update the suspension for the 2021 models, so it's still as matagtag as before. My number one choice would be the Isuzu Mu-X LSE 4x2. The MU-X has one of the best driver assist packages in the segment. Its adaptive cruise works at any speed, and it's very reliable. Its third row is more spacious than the Fortuner and the Terra, also the Montero.
Fit 2 fingers here.
The suspension is compliant, but it still feels relatively stable. And while most other PPVs are over 5 years old, this is a 2021 platform. Best high-end. Since my best high-end variant is also going to be my pick for the best PPV of 2021, we'll leave this one out for last. Best in tech. So in this category, we'll rank them based on tech, which includes driver assist features like adaptive cruise, active safety features like automatic braking, toys like a 360 camera, infotainment screens, etc. Anyway, at third place would be the Everest by Turbo. The Everest by Turbo has all of the driver assist and active safety features of the Fortuner, except for the 360 camera and the wireless charger, but it comes with a panoramic sunroof and power folding third row seats. At second place would be the MU-X. Now, this is one instance where reading the spec sheet doesn't give you the full picture. The MU-X doesn't have the most impressive spec sheet. Like most of its competitors have adaptive cruise, except for the Terra, but some PPVs have minimum speeds for their adaptive cruise. Like on the Everest, you can only activate it above 30 kph. On the MU-X, you can activate it at any speed, even at crawling speed. And that makes a huge difference, because you can use it in stop-and-go traffic. And I think its adaptive cruise is a godsend when it comes to EDSA traffic. And I would take it over a wireless phone charger or a 360 camera any day. And at first place should be the Toyota Fortuner LTD, or Limited, as Mr. Kevin Barry would prefer to pronounce it. The Fortuner went from the most low-tech to the most high-tech in one facelift. It is the most complete in terms of tech. It has a 360 camera, a wireless charger. It has Toyota's safety sense, which includes adaptive cruise, automatic braking, lane departure warning, etc. And it also has a Bose sound system. So it takes the top spot. Next category is Best Interior. At third place would be the Isuzu Mu-X. I wish the Mu-X came with a two-toned interior of the Dmax, but even with a drab, all-black color scheme, it's still one of the more modern-looking interiors in this segment. At second place would be the Ford Everest by Turbo. The Ford Everest's dashboard makes you feel like you're driving a large American SUV. The dashboard looks bulky and boxy, but you also get plenty of luxuries like leather on the dashboard, leather-wrapped seats, you get a panoramic sunroof, and you get little amenities like power folding third row seats. And at first place would be the Nissan Terra. The Terra went from having the worst interior to the best in one facelift. This is a far cry from the old plastic dashboard of the pre-facelift Terra. You now get a two-tone burgundy and black leather-wrapped dashboard. You get plenty of aluminum accents. You get quality knobs and buttons. You get kilted leather seats. There's just nothing about this interior that looks agricultural. Next category is Best in Refinement. So in this category, we'll rank them based on noise levels, ride quality, and the overall feeling of refinement that you get from driving them. So at third place should be the Isuzu Mu-X. The ride quality of the Mu-X is pretty good, especially considering that it has 20-inch wheels. The engine isn't as quiet as the Terra and the Everest, but it's quiet enough. At second place would be the Ford Everest. The Everest is one of the most quiet in the segment, thanks to its quiet 2-liter bi-turbo engine and also its active noise cancellation. I would say the suspension gives a good balance of comfort and handling. And at first place would be the Nissan Terra. So after spending a week with the Terra, it is now my benchmark when it comes to ride quality. The engine was so quiet that it didn't feel like a diesel. The ride was almost buttery smooth thanks to its soft suspension. It's also very easy to modulate the power and the braking, so you don't jerk back and forth when you're driving. If you don't care about handling at all, and you only care about comfort, the Terra is at the top of its game. Best value for money. Good value for money doesn't necessarily mean affordable. Feature per peso ratio is the name of the game here. So we'll have a top spec, a base model, and a mid-range. At third place would be the Everest by Turbo Titanium, which is the top of the line model. I think of all the top of the line models, the Everest by Turbo packs the most features per peso. You get all the driver aids like adaptive cruise, automatic braking. It also has automatic parking. It also has a panoramic sunroof, a power tailgate, and power folding third row seats. And it only sells for 2.29 million pesos. At second place would be the MU-X LS. The MU-X LS is the cheapest PPV that you can buy, but it's not absolutely bare bones. You get LED DRLs, you get a 10-inch screen, the same as the top of the line variants, and the interior isn't even entirely made of plastic. If you're on a tight budget, this is the one to get. And at first place would be the Fortuner Q. The Fortuner Q has most of the features of the top of the line LTD or Limited, like adaptive cruise, a 360 camera, wireless charging, but it sells for half a million pesos less. Based on the spec sheet alone, this is the most complete mid-range PPV in terms of tech, so it gets first place. Okay, so the next category is Best Exterior. Since this category is very subjective, I wanted you guys to decide the winner. And congratulations to those who voted for the Terra. The Terra wins this category, followed by the Fortuner and then the Montero. Before I choose my best PPV of 2021, let me talk about why I didn't choose the others. The Fortuner would be the most complete in terms of electronic toys. If it were a spec sheet battle, this would be the clear winner. But it's the least comfortable in terms of suspension tuning, and also the third row seats are very cumbersome to operate and they take up a lot of space. If you're loading a lot of stuff in the back, I think this is a major drawback. I couldn't load a bike at the back of the Fortuner because of the seats. I loved the Terra. My nephew and my dog also loved it. It's a very refined SUV. The facelift made it look like an all-new model, and the new interior is one of the best. I think in terms of ride quality and NVH, it's up there with the Everest. I think its major drawback is it doesn't have adaptive cruise control, which for me is a feature that I find very, very useful. It's currently the only top-of-the-line model that doesn't come with adaptive cruise, and that means that it's a bit more of a chore to drive it in stop-and-go traffic. The Montero is an eye-catcher, especially when modified. The last time that I got to drive one was back in 2019, and it seems to have disappeared from my radar since then. Also, like the others in this list, this is over 5 years old now, and the facelift is over 2 years old. I love the Everest. It was my pick for the best PPV of 2019, and until now, it's still one of the best in terms of refinement and features. But it's been more than 5 years since it was released, and 2 years since its last update. So like the other PPVs that I mentioned, it's getting pretty old.
The car's rated till...
My choice would be the one that offers a good balance of tech, comfort, space, and driver assist features. Plus, I would want something that's not going to look outdated in 1 or 2 years. For me, that would be the Isuzu Mu-X or the Isuzu Mu-X. The suspension is not as soft as the Terra, but not as stiff as the Fortuner. It offers decent comfort while also providing good stability at high speeds. It offers good interior space. I think the third row is one of the best in the segment. It also has all the active safety features and driver assist features that you can get from its competitors. The only thing that it's missing is a 360 camera and also a wireless charger. But those are things that I can compromise for what the MU-X offers.